What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Spencer Andrews, aka DJ Dre, and you're in the mix with DJ Willie Dynamite, originally from Brooklyn, New York, USA, now in Miami, Florida. Hi, how you doing? Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
I hate to lose a good New Yorker.
it.
Why'd you move to Miami?
Because I don't like the cold weather. I originally moved out of New York in 2007, moved to Fort Lauderdale for 6 months, and then I moved to D.C., and I was in D.C. for the next 6, 7 years, and then I moved back to Miami in 2014.
You've been a DJ for over 20 some odd years. Well, what was your inspiration to start becoming a DJ?
Everybody around, I grew up with the culture, so everybody was either doing graffiti or rapping or DJing or dancing. So I actually started out as a battle DJ, um, really heavy on the cutting and scratching, but I stopped and switched my focus when I started listening to the radio and I met a couple of DJs at parties. And the reason was because one, I was too heavy handed to do all the tricks. It would make the needle jump.
Right.
So I started with vinyl. So I started with vinyl on Technic 1200 turntables. So I was too heavy handed, it would make the needle jump. And when I saw the DJs rocking parties, they wasn't doing all the heavy cutting and scratching. They was doing more mixing and blending. And when I saw how they controlled the crowd that way, that that made me switch. That turned me into a party DJ. My whole focus is to make you dance.
Well, what genre of music are you playing right now?
I play new stuff, but not on the rap side. Um, I play more of the pop and R&B stuff. Now the stuff that sounds like hip hop, I play, you know,
Right.
but all the trap music, no, I'm not into that. Stuff that sounds like hip hop,
Yeah.
like the Pusha T stuff and the Kendrick Lamar stuff and the Nas stuff. You know what I'm saying? Um, if it sounds like authentic hip hop, that's what I play.
I know you've had to have heard some of the New York hip hop now, and I mean, and it sounds like shit.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, they're controlled by the radio. It's the radio's fault. So if the radio didn't play it, they wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why they're making it. And to be honest, you don't have to have a lot of talent to rap on a trap beat. It's the beats are all the same. The tempo doesn't even change.
Right.
So I mean, you don't even need to have talent to rap these days. A social media page and you doing stupid shit because they're not known for the talent. They're known for doing and saying stupid shit. All you got to do is make sound effects, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Your time coming up in New York, playing in the clubs, it was easy because you worked for the club owner, no?
Promoter as well, but once you have a name that's established, they just want you in here because you're going to attract people. You play what you want.
Right. Now, what are you still using for equipment? Are you still on the 1200s?
No, so right now I'm using Pioneer SX3.
How was your transition from vinyl to MP3s?
I transitioned from vinyl to CDs, and then from CDs to MP3s in the laptop. But now the transition from vinyl to CDs, putting everything on MP3 to
Was
CD,
a real pain in the ass.
it was. But it was harder for me to go from CDs to laptop.
Right.
Because see, with CDs, to me, I'm a touchy feely guy, so the CDs was like little records for me.
A lot of people, they like to touch and feel as if they're using vinyl. I have to admit, I've always been that way myself. Is there anything about music that drew you to it?
Everything. I was taught by two people that I credit. My uncle by marriage, he was a block party DJ because he had equipment. He was the first DJ that had those big earthquake speakers. He's my uncle by marriage. my aunt took me over to his house because she knew how much I was into music, and that's where I learned how to mix. I started using Good Times and Bounce Rock Skate Roll, learning how to mix the records together into one another.
Right.
Then I was introduced to DJ Clark Kent by DJ Scratch. Scratch took me over to Clark Kent's house, and I told Clark I was a DJ, and he told me, "Oh, come through, and I'll, show you some stuff."
Right.
So please, that's all I needed to hear. I used to cut class in high school to go to Clark Kent's crib. I would go over there, and what he used to do was he would have me sit there, and he would make tapes for me.
Right.
And he would tell me to go home, and it was just strictly mixing, no
Right.
cutting, scratching, strictly mixing. And he would give me the tape and tell me to go home and figure out what he did. That was genius because what happened was I was allowed to see music.
People today, there's no education figuring it out for themselves, and I think that's one of the problems with these newer DJs.
Yeah, I don't think the new rappers or the newer DJs want to learn from OGs. I don't know what it is. I think because of these new programs, it's easier to learn on your own. But they're not learning. They're not learning the craft. They're just learning how to use the program, and they don't understand it.
Don't play for yourself.
Knowing how to read a crowd, and the difference between records that you can play early in the party and records you can play in the middle of a party,
Right,
and
exactly.
at the end of a party.
Knowing your music.
Building plateaus.
Right, exactly. Do you think you had some challenges or goals when you started out as a DJ?
The only challenge I had is that, money wise, I couldn't buy all the records that I wanted to. That's it. And sometimes, bringing, carrying 1200s around and crates of records around to do parties, that was the challenging part. But once everything got set up,
That was a workout.
yeah. My boys just wanted to come to the party, scoop up girls, and go home.
Right, right,
They
of course.
stay after and help me with equipment and shit. So.
What was your first setup as a DJ like?
Well, I was lucky. I've always done things where people provided the equipment for me. There was always another DJ that they wanted to play along with me, not to actually play, but because they had equipment.
Right.
So they would have another DJ bring their equipment and I would play on it.
Oh, I see. If you had a gig coming up tonight, what's your approach look like from selecting the material and preparation for opening and then building a set?
I like to go see the venue. If I haven't been to the venue before, I like to go see the venue before I play.
Are you a big playlist guy?
No.
Are you a off the top of your head type of guy?
Yeah. I like to have records close in proximity, but it's not like, I'm just into playing good music.
Right.
If I'm not really into the hits, because we know with all this, with the streaming now, there's really no real hit records anymore, right? It's just records that are popular. Good music that's not getting airplay, that's what I'm into. As a DJ, you should be introduced to music, and you can't listen to the radio every day. Just, 10 records, that's it.
How are you on research? I can sit in the chair. I've been known to sit in the chair for 10 hours just researching music, trying to find music. Does that relate to you?
I don't spend too much time researching. What I do is I get into the underground record pool, and then I build off that.
Right.
Because the more commercial, there's only one commercial record pool that I like, and that's promo only. The other few that I use are kind of underground and low key.
Right.
But they'll give you the same type of things, but these underground record pools, they do their own edits, and I like that.
Right.
They'll issue records from the 70s that was done with a band, and they'll quantize it for you,
Right.
and it's stuff like that I like. And they even give you like edits where they re-drum it, make the drums harder. The best part of all the parties is, the time of the night when the DJ plays old school records. Like, they want to hear the new stuff that's on the radio, but the only time they really go crazy and start pulling their hair out their head is when you playing something old that they haven't heard in a long time.
How can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can contact me on Instagram at dj.willie.dynamite. That's Instagram, and I'm on Twitch 5 nights a week, sometimes seven. And my Twitch handle is DJ Willie Dynamite. DJ spelled all the way out, Deejay, Willie Dynamite, and that's pretty much it.
How'd you come up with DJ Willie Dynamite?
From an old movie called Willie Dynamite. He was the main. Willie Dynamite was the character. He was a pimp. So I felt like the way he was controlling the girls, the way I like to control crowds. This is like my third DJ name though. My first DJ name was Fat Cat, and I had to change it because of the producer, uh, Fat Cat.
Right,
And I used to have names that describe the way I look, but I decided to get all that and have a name that describes the way I sound. So I
right.
think Dynamite, the way I like to make people dance, and you know, playing music that you don't expect me to play, um, shocks you. So it's really Dynamite works for
My name was given to me. I remember I was playing at a club, and they introduced me. And they're like, yeah, next up is DJ Dre. And I said to one of the guys, I'm like, who's this Dre guy? And they're like, no, that's you.
I like having DJ names with a first and a last name. It works across the board.
Yeah. What is Florida like for you in the nightlife? Have you been able to check that out?
It's fine. They're just a little less informed.
Right.
Then um, there's music people, and then there's music people.
Yeah.
And coming from New York, New York is no music, so um, they live and breathe. You know, Studio 54 was in New York. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Studio 54, for those that don't know, Studio 54 was probably one of the hottest nightclubs back in the 70s and even 80s. A lot of celebrities went there. So if you could get into Studio 54, I mean,
Yeah,
you definitely lived a night that was pretty awesome.
yeah. And it wasn't a club where they just played hit records. They played everything that was hot. Period. So you had to know music, or if you didn't know it, you was introduced to it. So New Yorkers know their music. Out here, they're music people too, but they don't have the outlets that we had in New York. And that's where the DJs come in. The DJs are supposed to introduce you to all that stuff, but there's not as many DJs introducing new music. Well, just trap stuff maybe, but
Right.
like just good music in general, any genre. There's not that many DJs just displaying anything that's just good. So I think it's a little bit more limited. But the thing about it is that a music person is always open to something new. So it's not where it's not a thing where if I play something they never heard before they get turned off. It's not like that. But you
Right,
just
right.
you're always introducing new music to people who may not have heard it before.
The record pools of when we came up were a lot more awesome because they were giving us the music that we would play that would set the tone for the coming years. I mean, we played music out of that record pool that made people. We would have to fill out paperwork and give our thoughts and ideas on the music that we were given. And if you were an artist and your track was in that record pool, we could make or break you. And now the record pools are just basically top 20, top 50, top 100. How do you feel about that?
That's why I like messing with the underground record pools because they don't care about that. They'll give you those folders, they'll give you those files, but they also give you a whole bunch of stuff that you don't know about that's just as awesome.
Right.
You know, like the ones I'm in, they introduced me to a lot of stuff. So, and I appreciate that more than anything because you can get the Billboard Top 100 from anywhere.
Yeah. Right.
But it is, those new artists that has a banger out that don't have the money to promote themselves like that, that's what I'm into.
I agree with you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to have DJ Willie Dynamite on the show, and again to hear his thoughts and to hear about his time in the business. Be sure you check him out. Once again, Willie, tell them where they can hear you.
You can catch me on Twitch at DJ Willie Dynamite, DeeJay, Willie Dynamite with an IE. I'm on 5 to 7 nights a week. I do 5 nights definitely, and I do other times where there's pop ups. So definitely, you can catch me on Twitch, rocking, and also on IG at dj.willie.dynamite.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, DJ Willie Dynamite. Thank you for being on the show, brother. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.